Se dice que en Holanda hay más bicicletas que personas, y esto puede ser una realidad. Esta cultura del ciclismo nace como solución a una problemática, el aumento del uso del automóvil. Es por ello que desde los años 70, los gobiernos holandeses se han dedicado a impulsar el uso de este vehículo. Hoy en día, Holanda es el país con el mayor movimiento diario en bicicleta y el único con su propia embajada del ciclismo.
I want to ride my bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike.
Yeah, so I'm Nout, program coordinator for the Dutch Cycling Embassy.
¿Qué es la embajada holandesa del ciclismo?
So what we do, we are kind of the link between the Dutch expertise in experience with cycling infrastructure, both as culture and the experience that organizations and companies have in Holland.
¿Con qué otros países han trabajado?
We've done a great deal of countries. I think we have done, I'm not exactly sure about the number, but we've been in every continent of the world.
¿Cuánto tiempo les tomó a los holandeses construir esta cultura del ciclismo?
The development of bicycle usage in Holland has also has its ups and downs throughout the years. So starting from, I think, 1900s somewhere, we started using bicycles. People were getting quite used to it. You know, conditions were quite optimal here. Flat land, relatively small country. So, and you know, before motorized vehicles were there, we were already using the bike a lot. So there are cities that from 70s, beginning of 70s, they started to prioritize cycling.
Desde los años 70 tienen estos caminos especiales para los ciclistas.
Well, we did have them before,
Okay.
but they weren't as optimal as they are now.
Okay.
And so there was a kind of shift. So cycling was growing a lot, but post-war it kind of, well, cars became a little bit prioritized.
Okay.
So then you could see also in the usage of bicycles, it kind of dropped from the 50s towards the 70s. Then after municipalities and government started actively building more cycling roads, motivating people to get on a bike again, it increased again to a percentage of, I think now 28% of all movements within Holland are done by bike, which is quite high.
¿Quién está a cargo del mantenimiento de las rutas? ¿De dónde proviene el dinero para mantenerlo?
So the government is in charge of the maintenance of the roads. Well, if you use a car, you pay taxes for using the road. For a bike, it's not the same effect. So they are using the taxes paid for the cars. I think they are also used to pave the cycling roads as well.
En general, ¿cuál es la opinión de los holandeses con respecto a las rutas de bicicleta? ¿Qué es lo que piensan? ¿Les convence tener este tipo de transporte?
Yeah, in general, well, like for example, in Holland, I think every car driver is also a cyclist. So even though, you know, they work in another city, so they have to go by car in the weekends. Or for groceries, they could still use the bike. So you could say almost everybody in Holland has a bike and is a cyclist.
¿Cuáles son los beneficios de utilizar la bicicleta como medio de transporte?
In terms of happiness, there was a study that showed that, you know, it adds to the happiness of people in Holland, for example. There's also a very positive effect on the health. If you use a bike more, there's less obesity, for example. People tend to be healthier, happier when they use a bike regularly. So that's one effect. Also, you know, less congestion means less stress. I'm sure for you, you know, with your experience in Mexico City, it adds to the stress level when you have to commute every day and it takes 1.5 or 2 hours. While driving a bike, the only stress you have is when you have to stop at a stopping light. But for the rest, there's not really a presence of congestion. Well, you know, it can be busy, but you can always drive your bike.
Ahora que mencionaste la Ciudad de México, ¿tú crees que este tipo de infraestructura se pueden aplicar en ciudades tan grandes?
I think everything is possible. Of course, you know, we're as Dutch, we are quite lucky to have a very flat land, which makes cycling easier. It's also, you know, we don't have that big cities, so a city like Amsterdam, which is our capital, it's still possible to drive from the one part of the city to the other part within, let's say, 45 minutes, which makes it quite ideal circumstances to drive a bicycle. But I think within every city there's possibilities. It's just that there's a combination of the mindset of people, of seeing the positive effects of cycling and noticing the cyclists around you, plus the government or the municipality that will have to invest in cycle paths.
¿Es verdad que en Holanda hay más bicicletas que personas?
It's true.
¿Y eso no es una problemática al final? ¿No genera basura? Por ejemplo, yo veo muchas bicicletas abandonadas en las calles. ¿Cómo solucionan este problema?
It creates a challenge. I mean, you can call the problem or a challenge. I think most cities, they have this challenge of kind of keeping the city organized, and that means because you have some spots, for example in Amsterdam, where there's a lot of bikes, and people tend to leave their bikes at a certain part, because I think here in Holland the average it's like 1.8 bikes per person. So that means that there's like, you know, more than 17 million bikes here in Holland. So what cities do is that to keep the parts of the city organized, they will check up on parts where there's a lot of bikes parked, and they can put a sticker on the bike, and the sticker says like, okay, this bike on this date, 22nd of August, we have, you know, located your bike here. Please make sure that within 3 weeks this bike is no longer parked here. If it's still parked here, then the municipality will take the bikes and put them outside of the city.
A veces pareciera que las ciudades están hechas para los automóviles y no para las personas. ¿Tú crees que Holanda es un ejemplo de un país que se ha dedicado a hacer las ciudades más amigables con los peatones, con los ciclistas?
Yeah, of course. I have to say that within the Netherlands there's also a difference within cities. For example, Rotterdam is not as experienced or doesn't have as much cyclists as Amsterdam does, for example. So still, even in our countries, there's still targets to be made. There's still some challenges that we have to meet. But yeah, overall, we are trying to make cities as friendly as possible to people. So that means less congestion, less how do you say, pollution. So we are trying to create the best balance between using a car, using a bike, and it also means that for certain areas the bike is preferred. We are trying to block cars out of certain parts of the city, and yeah, I think that's the best way to make cities livable and healthy for people to live in.